make as much money as possible. And then it ended up being, I think someone said, I think I had trouble with like marketing and like, or like, no, just photography. And someone said like, why are you a teacher? And I was like, and they're like, pull on that. And so it really is about building trust very quickly. And
It is,
that's always been fun.
of course. Well, with that said, Jason, would you like to start us off here as we go around the Oasis?
Sounds good. Yeah, basically, we've been doing these around the Oasis sessions, really highlighting entrepreneurs within the startup, the Prepare for VC community, and definitely wanted to highlight you here, learn more about your startup journey, and also, we keep these pretty conversational too. So it's not just me asking questions. It could be, Steve, Joseph, anybody else that jumps in here as well. We do record these and put them up on the platform as well. So yeah, everybody can learn about the other members and community leaders we have on Prepare for VC. So yeah, really excited for this chat, and also, gives a little bit of like excited for a little bit of a different take here too. We've done some other tech founders, and yeah, you have like service focused and photography focused business, and yeah, I mean, it would definitely help a lot of our startup community members to learn a little bit about your story as well. And yeah, excited to hear that today.
Thank you for having me on. This is cool. I enjoy just hanging out and talking. And every chance I get to talk to people, this is what I want to do.
Sounds good. Yeah. So how did you get into photography in general, or how did you get started in this space?
Um, when I was in, so I graduated college something like 13 years ago, and I went to Korea and to teach, and it gets kind of lonely. So I got myself a camera, took pictures of toys, and I just kind of started learning about photography and stuff from there. Uh, and so I stayed being a teacher for the last 13 years, and then around March of last year, I was laid off because I teach international students and there were no more international students. I had a side hustle as a photographer, doing headshots just for some fun money, really. And it really ended up being the pandemic was a blessing in a sense where I now had the opportunity to just go full time into photography, and had a lot of time since being laid off to like think about what I want to do and how I want to brand and make it myself, and who I am naturally, so it doesn't feel like work. And so took lots of pictures of people, and then now it's like wanting to really build those pictures through those pictures, as opposed to just taking a picture of somebody, right? Yeah.
Oh, I really like that. Yeah. So, and obviously, yeah, you're showcasing some of your work behind you, and they all came out great. So, I guess did you've been doing this, or you mentioned you've been doing this as a side hustle, and then just yeah, sort of jump full scale in and started your own company around this last year.
Yeah. So about
Great.
2 years ago, 2019,
2 years ago.
um, I only made $3,000 that year. This is no money. It's a lot of just going to networking events over and over and over again. Where I met Steve actually, because he was everywhere too, and just watching him as he's
Yes,
going through, talking to a lot of different people, and I was very nervous. I couldn't
I
figure
was too.
out how to network in a way that was comfortable for me, because there's always so many people, and Steve's always been a very supportive person online and offline. Um,
Well, thank
but
you.
but the
Appreciate that.
pandemic was really nice because it gave me time to really think about what people are doing, what photographers are doing, and then what other entrepreneurs are doing, and just how to be different. A lot of people have Zoom backgrounds, and so a lot of photographers they showcase like their studio space, but it's not really about the studio space; it's about the people and the stories I can tell. And so I chose each one of these people on the wall specifically to tell their story, different jobs, ages, different careers, different expectations of why they want to get a picture, religions, and so like, so when I talk to people, even if it's just like a virtual coffee meetup, which I feel most comfortable with because one-on-one, I get to tell their stories, and that's what I enjoy the most. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, one other thing I wanted to touch on that I think really speaks to who you are, not only as an entrepreneur, but as a human being. And I wonder if you can give us some thoughts on this too. Is, I mean, you share a lot about your why. And this is something that we talk about a lot at Prepare for VC when it comes to startups. And, it's not just about wanting to be successful, like materially successful. It's about what why are we doing what we're doing, and who are those special people, places, and things that keep us powered and empowered all throughout the day. So I not only commend you for that, Kevin, but I wonder if you can like talk about how that's factored into your work, like the human side.
Yeah, I can. Let me throw up a. I just did this the other day with Optima. I'm in their marketing, or not marketing, their entrepreneur academy, and let's see, they have, and we just talked about our why just recently. Um, I can throw this up. Uh,
There we go. We
so
can see that.
when I first started this, the idea of this a few years ago, I created my mission statement. Um, and when I learned about the business of photography, they really want to make sure that in this organization's part, it's like you really make it a business. And as a business, you also need to have a why. You need a direction you're going, especially if you want to hire somebody and make it into a larger than yourself kind of organization. And how we develop our values is how we treat our customers and how we treat each other as employees and expectation. Um, my mission is to approach each client with admiration as the most important person in their field, and commit to betraying that truth. So if they are, so I took a picture of a 22-year-old who just started a job. This was last month, and he wanted to look like he's more competent. So we made him look older. We made him look a little bit more older, and that's a truth that he wants to bring to others. And so my job is to really bring that out to them. Um, my vision is to help people be their true self at their best, and this is also why like I talk about my journey and my struggles. And I even a few days ago I put up a big issue, a big mistake, one of my first big mistakes of customer relationship, and that goes down to one of my values. And I had 3 values. You can see this on my website from a couple of years ago. I added 4 more in the activity this week. I added down here, it says extreme ownership. We take responsibility for mistakes and learn from our failures. I think it's HubSpot that does a thing where anybody can stand up and talk about the mistakes that they've made, so that as a community they can help each other out. And I have that community as well. And so a few days ago, I took a picture of somebody. I had to match his company's headshot, and I looked at the picture. I matched it. Everything was done correctly. It was done well. And then all of a sudden, when I sent it to him, we realized that it wasn't what it was supposed to be, because I was supposed to click in, and then there was a much larger portrait. And he was angry at me. Mostly he was frustrated, but then I took the brunt of it and I blamed him. When really, if I wanted to do right by my customers, I should have taken ownership. You're right, let's do this again. Let's do it for free. I charged him to do a reshoot. So I was extrapolating even more money from him, and making money the focus at that moment. And that's not taking ownership of the mistake, because I had a responsibility to make sure that he can represent himself the way that his company wants him and he wants to be represented. The other part to it is, I'm client obsessed. I am thankful and grateful for every person that engages with me, whether it is on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, in real life, or they're my clients, because every single one of them builds my brand and makes me into a business. And I'm very thankful for that. And in this type of business, it's very personal. I think a lot of companies are like SaaS companies. They can expand very quickly and bring in lots of people for a low price point. I can't do that. So that's why I'm a little bit more expensive. I'm very expensive, actually. But one of the reasons so I can have those one-on-ones with others. But being expensive also allows me to work with people. Like, for example, today I had a call with Emmanuel from AfricanBN.org, and they work with immigrants, specific from Africa, but all over, all immigrants, to train them for jobs. I get to shoot for them for free, and I get to enjoy that because I'm contributing back to the immigrant community. So it's always about other people. It's always about creating moments. It's about creating, it's being present and interacting with them as human beings. It's about making them feel like they belong, just over and over again. So whether that's like in the studio with me, in conversations, or like just kind of one-on-ones, this is kind of what the foundation of what I believe. And I want, if I have employees, I want them to believe, and I want other people to see that, even though they don't read this, they feel it in the like on LinkedIn, in my post, in the community that we create.
Well, before I give it back over to Jason, I want to just make one more comment for the moment. So a lot of people know that I love the Boston startup community, and they ask me why. Like, Steve, like, what exactly is so special about this community? And a couple of days ago, I was having a really busy day, prepared for VC. We were like just grinding away, and then all of a sudden, I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and I found one of your posts about you and your child, and like it was so funny and so sweet and wholesome. That is why. That is why I love this community so much, because there are a lot of people who make it what it is on a human, wholesome level. And yeah, it really brought home for me why I do what I do. Like, being a connector is not just about memorizing names and numbers and whatever people like opportunities. It's actually about trying to figure out how to help people and how to add value there. And yeah, with that, I'd love to hear what either, Jason or Joe are thinking right now.
Sounds good. Yeah, I really no, I really like how you laid out everything here, and how even how you've added, like you just mentioned, you added a couple new values that have come up over pretty recently, and they all like focus around where you want the business to be and what you want to be known as a brand. Question on where does three circles come from, and what do those circles mean?
I kind of want to change it now that but I'm already established. The original idea was I didn't want to do Kevin type photography because I feel like I want to be bigger than just myself. I want to hire people in the future, so I created a fictitious name. I also didn't want to be headshots, so three circle headshots or something like that, because I wanted to branch out and do branding work. I'm actually in talks of other people right now, other organizations, to do rebranding for them, for assets for their website and printouts. But the three circles is the idea that we are a community, and my job is to help you to represent yourself best to all those different communities. So your first circle of influence would be your friends and your family. Your next circle of influence would be your coworkers, your business, your clients, your associates and your friends. And then your third circle is like everybody else that's around you, and
Right.
they know you through them. And that's what branding is, right? Branding is, I love I forgot where I hear this from, but like your brand is what people say behind your back. And whether it's a good
Like
thing
that, yeah.
or it's a bad thing, hopefully it's all good. But when people talk about you, what do they say? Or how do they feel about you? And so my job is, if I can give you a great headshot, or I can represent your company really well as whatever it is that you're looking for, whether it is you want to look luxury or you want to look like a family business, which is kind of what I'm talking to with a real estate agent yesterday. He doesn't want to be a real estate agency that's luxury. He wants to be one that is warm and welcoming your family. And so he wants people to talk about him that way. And so I was like, well, let's get your agents and their families together and take pictures in front of their houses. And like, I never thought about that. It's like, yeah, because we want a good headshot, but really we want to represent you as people who also care about others in their family. And so that's kind of why why I developed that name.
No, I think that's a great brand. And yeah, I like how you think about, different circles of your life coming together, and how you're in there at the center helping them sort of be who they want to be for all these groups coming together.
It's really nice one. So that's when mom grabs a picture and then prints it out. There's a lot of moms who takes the pictures, prints it out, and puts it on the wall. And like, I can give you a better quality. Like, they take the Instagram version of it, and then they screenshot it, and then they blow it up. I'm like, oh, just take the full file. Moms are the best reviews. They're the best feedback. If mom loves it, then I did my job.
That is very true. I actually remember when I was a kid and having to take school photos, my mother was just crazy about that, and she would always make sure that I had the sharpest outfits and the posing and everything. But yeah, there you go. It just goes back again to remembering the human element. I have a question about something that's a little bit more nuts and bolts. I know I've been kind of poetic and idealistic here, but this might come as a little surprise then. So with the pandemic having gone through this and that, and now like things are reopening again. I mean, how do you how do you see this new phase affecting Three Circles, and what are some of those takeaways?
Um, it's a good question. I've always shot out of my house for the first year and a half. And then because of having a baby and because of having COVID, we didn't want anybody in the house anymore. And that forced me to get a new studio, which is a studio at all. And I experimented with a lot of that. And now I have a space, I can bring in more people, whether it is for networking purposes, such as hanging out and just having coffee in my studio space, whether it's to bring in groups of people in teams to take pictures together without having to go to their physical location, because they don't have, a lot of the companies I'm talking to, they don't meet anymore, and they don't have plans to meet together at their spots. So having a studio space allows an option for them to bring in their entire team. There's a lobby area, lots of parking, which is very important. And it's just right north of Boston, in Charlestown. And so that opens up lots of doors and opportunities for me to do that. For me also, it means that I used to have this co-working space. So this was my co-working area, and then I bought out the other desks over there. I had another studio that was rented for somebody else that's a mile away. And so I would have to pack up and move, and then I had to be stressing out as I walk in the rain to get to the studio because there's only one parking spot, which I'm giving to my clients. That was not fun that night.
Doesn't sound like it.
No, I had to bring extra pairs of shoes. So this also allows me to be more engaged and present with them, spend all my time with them if I need to. And they get to come in, drive, park, plan a parking. They don't have to like park a block away, which is what they used to do, and then walk over in the rain, and then their hair's messed up, their clothes are wet. So this has, I think, as we start opening up and people feel more comfortable, they get to bring their teams in together and represent their teams in a much different way than before, because they represent themselves with, the wedding picture with like the fingers on the edge on their shoulder and stuff, right? Nice picture, but it's a group picture. And then also, as we're opening across the world, the United States, we have other photographers that I'm a part of, a group where we belong to. And so right now, I did someone from that has a main places in Pennsylvania. So I'm doing something in Boston, another person in Pennsylvania, and another person in California. And the images are going to look similar to each other because we have the same foundation of headshots, the lighting and the posing and stuff. We all have our own spin to it, but essentially, if we needed to look a certain way, we can all get it there. And so, for the photography industry, for us headshot photographers, we're collaborating a whole lot more than ever before. We're not we're competitors, but we're also giving each other work in a way that gives us even more work since we can solve a problem. And as entrepreneurs, or just any business, are starting to spread out and go into different parts of the United States or even parts of the state. We have photographers out in Western Mass because I don't want to drive 3 hours out there, and they don't want to pay me to drive 3 hours out there. I can recommend someone that's in Saratoga to just drive over the border an hour, and then they get to see each other and get images for the whole team that looks cohesive. Because you don't want someone to shoot one style and someone else to shoot another style and then bring it together and someone looks out of place.
Cool.
Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph, go for it.
Kevin, thank you very much for being here today and telling us your story. I have a two-part question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And I sure hate to just pile on you. But, my first question is, you mentioned that your previous work experience was not this.
Mm-hmm.
And could you explain to me, how did you go from that experience to what you're doing today? And what I meant was, what was your drive? What was your passion to say, you know what, I'm going to be doing this? And my second part of the question is, when you actually started your business, when was the aha moment that you said, you know what, I can make this a long run instead of having it as a hobby?
Yeah, I'll answer your second question. One of my friends, he charges $300 per image in a $300 session fee, and he averages about $2,000 to $3,000 in about 45 minutes. And he travels across New England to meet his clients. And he has a goal of making $1 million a year from headshots and the other type of portraiture work that he does. Another friend of mine makes $300,000 a year. He's booked 6 days a week, one or two people a day for 6 weeks out. Another person, he has a 6-figure job, and he's making enough money just on the weekends to replace a 6-figure job income. And I was like, and that's the kind of money that I believe I can make as well. So just in terms of my own personal financial goals, it's not too difficult in terms of overhead cost. I have, just to be transparent, I only have about $1,500 a month in overhead. So the studio space is a big part of that. Lots of education groups that I'm a part of. The equipment stuff is expensive. So probably about $1,000 at the low end if I don't buy any new toys, to about $1,500. And then in that I can make in about 1 to 2 to 3 sessions a month. And so as we work out the numbers, if I do my job really well, one person can pay for all my overhead. The next person pays for all my taxes. And then the next person after that will be money that will support my family. How did I go from being a teacher? So I taught international students, and one of the coolest things is when you have 10, let's say 10 students from 10 different countries, and they're all different ages from 18 to 60. And then they have very, very low English proficiency. A new student comes in, and I have to integrate them very quickly into the class. And so I have to, within 5 minutes, make them feel like they belong, make them feel like I'm trustworthy, get the other students to respect and understand that new student, figure out their motivation for why they're learning English, whether it's vacation, their mom made them, sometimes that happens, whether they're here because they have a job that they need to prepare for, they have bigger ambitions in mind, like they're entrepreneurs, they're students, or they're here with a girlfriend, that happens too. And I have to figure all that out so then I can teach that person differently. So once a student comes in, I have my syllabus or my plan for the class, but then I have to adjust the whole class for that one student while still keeping the 10 students motivated. When I work with an individual person to take headshots or maybe a team, I will use the same skills and techniques that I'm understanding to understand a person with low English proficiency, integrate them and make them feel comfortable with one person that does have good English proficiency, and get to make them feel like they belong. and get to feel comfortable, and very quickly lose the anxiety of being in front of the camera. And so I didn't realize I had that skill. I just took pictures of my friends, right? My friends, my family before. And I started taking pictures of other people, and I was so nervous. I couldn't do it until that, again, that one person, I was like, why are you a teacher? Why are you such a great teacher? Why do you get good reviews? And I read all the reviews that I had as a teacher, and all that reflects back in the reviews that I have. I think I have 140 right now, reviews, 5-star reviews on Google. It matches my personality, so my integrity is there in terms of like making people feel like they are another human being, right? And that's what I'm capturing, right? Of anything else, if of anything else, it's capturing them and at their best, and to the people that they care about and to their own motivations. Also, money is money too.
I got a great sense of humor. I love that.
So what's one thing, somebody or like, is there one thing that somebody thinks or, does before they come to you in their pictures that, they think is great, and then you come to them and you tell them like, this is why you need a better headshot?
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell a story of one person. I won't say his name, but he came in with a so let's say, so this person is a person who's on TV a lot, on camera, and they have to be in public a lot. So they have a genuine smile that they put out. So like this, right? And they know how to generate that. They have the belly laugh, right? The difference is that their marketing team, their PR team needed this person to look more warm and to appeal to a different demographic that wants to feel more trustworthy as opposed to feeling more like they're your pal. And so I have 3 hours for my session. Most people take about an hour and a half. He only had 40 minutes. So for the first 30 minutes, I'm trying to suss him out, trying to get him to that warmth, but he doesn't want to. And so he comes in thinking a headshot is just big smile. So I had to go, I can say bad words in this, right?
Yeah.
I was like, you gotta fucking stop this, man. Like if you don't do this,
Demonetized.
I can give you your money back, and you can go to somebody else, because if you're not gonna listen to me, then we're not gonna do this anymore. He's like, what? Huh? Because no one's ever talked to him that way before. And some people I have to swear at, some people I have to be very, very calm and very, very hand-holding to. But for him, I was like, you gotta fucking stop this. You gotta stop smiling. You gotta stop smiling like that. You look ridiculous. Come look at this picture. And I show him on my laptop what he looks like. He's like, okay, fine. And then the next 10 minutes, it's just creating that look of care. So I had to get his eyes to look very kind, and his mouth to not look so big, and just get him into a natural, I care about you type of expression. So some people come in thinking that they know what they want when they really don't. And so part of my job is where is this going to be? Who's going to look at it? What do you want your audience to feel? Is this something different than what you normally do? And then I pull that out. And so that's why people have multiple pictures. Michelle here, amazing woman. This picture was for the Museum of Fine Arts, because she's on the board of the Museum of Fine Arts. So yeah. Her other pictures are she wanted like bright, happy, big expression pictures, genuine joy. So we did that. And then when we did this, I wanted to be because it's going to be put up on the wall of the Museum of Fine Arts. I was like, well, you need to look like you belong. So we reorganized all the lighting, we reorganized her clothing and her expression. We changed the music from like something happy to a little bit more like jazz, to get her into the zone so that she can have something to represent her in that specific place. And so we always like, it's a collaborative effort. We work together. Sometimes it's a bang on the head collaborative effort, but we work together to kind of or where they need to be as well.
And to give away any of your secrets, but if you message somebody on LinkedIn, does that mean they have a bad headshot on there?
I'm sorry, one more time.
If you message somebody on LinkedIn or, cold outreach to them, does that mean right now they have a bad headshot and you want to take a new one?
I would never say someone has a bad headshot because they're choosing their most favorite picture to represent themselves. So if I say, hey, let me give you a better headshot, I might be insulting them a lot. It might be a picture from their wedding day. It might be something that they thought that they paid a lot of money for and it was a really great headshot, but it might not have been. So I'm insulting their judgment or I'm saying they wasted their money. And so I would never do that. When I reach out to people, I won't say never, but I rarely ever prospect. It's always about, let's build a relationship. Thank you for liking this person's post. I'm thankful for for you expanding my brand. And I'm thankful that you appreciate what I've done for somebody else. And then most people would say, okay, you're welcome. And then some people will then ask for headshot information. And some people will come back to me a year later. Some people have done that before, a couple of months later. So.
No, I think that's great because it seems like, there's a lot of, like, it's not just headshots, from all the stories you said, it's basically brand, you're helping somebody with their brand for each of the circles of their life. And, they might have some good pictures they really like to share with their families and friends, but not for whatever professional setting or, vice versa. And you come in there and help them figure out, how they can market themselves and showcase themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I really like that approach. And the last part you mentioned too about, more of relationship and community building and, somebody might need you today, somebody might need you a year from now. And if they remember you, that's where you want to be.
And keeping it top of mind, which is why I try to post a lot. Videos, pictures, interesting topics, things that always try to represent my brand. Or even when I post family pictures, it's always about, and I think this is where, talking to the entrepreneur community, one thing that the pandemic gave me the opportunity to is to read a lot of books. Even before the pandemic, I probably read about 20 to 50 books, 20 to 30 books a year. And so this pandemic was great because one of the things I did, and the entrepreneurs can do this too, is who's your audience and what kind of books do they read? And then reading the reviews of the books or the collection of the books, and then creating content based off of that. Because these are things that people care about and they care about enough to write a review for, or it's a list of books that has certain type of topics, and then you can then speak to those topics because they're already reading about it, they care about it. And so for me, I found something that I like, but also something that resonates with others, something that's myself, but also something that's easy for me to create as content, which is what entrepreneurs care about. So behind the scenes stuff, work-life balance and family, the struggle of being an entrepreneur, the financial stress or the workload stress, creating efficiencies and systems, habits, things like that entrepreneurs care about and C-suite executives care about is what I also say as well. But also things that I care about as well. So it is natural for me to post about it. It doesn't feel like work most of the time. Most of the time, obviously. And that's a very
I think
makes to make content is just talk to what you already love and then talk to what your audience loves or resonates.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's the benefit of, or not, one of the benefits of entrepreneurship too is you might end up working extra hours or posting, using social media for business and everything, but it doesn't always feel like work if if you love what you're doing.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like work.
But Joseph or Steve, if you want to have any other questions.
Yeah, Kevin, I have another question for you. As you mentioned earlier, that you want to, you have a future and you want to grow that future and try to move in more positive direction without going to Western Mass, which I think that is a very bad plan because Western Mass is very lovely out here. But I think that's a little biased speaking, but I'll just move away from that. But since you mentioned that you want to grow your business to be bigger, were you thinking of growing as in you're going to get more people, or were you thinking about growing as I'm going to take this person underneath my wing, teach him the ropes, and then not kind of like franchising a little bit? And so I'm not going to go to Western Mass, which I already said, I don't know why, but you know, you can have somebody at Western Mass that can collaborate with you, or maybe send somebody up, you know, into New Hampshire, Maine, or even go down south to, you know, to the other 2 states or further. What is your motivation for the future growth of your organization?
Thank you. That's a wonderful question. It's a great question for dreaming. So I created a fictitious name because I wanted for this to be beyond me. So if someone works for Kevin Tai Photography, it'll be more difficult for them to take ownership of that brand that they belong to. And so I do want to hire a person to just do all the business stuff. I really would love to just focus on relationship building and just photography, and someone else handles the business side of it. I would also like to have associate photographers to do the work for others as well. So I would like to train somebody. There's such a wonderful community of other photographers across the world, headshot photographers that I'm friends with. It doesn't necessarily mean I want to compete with them. I would love to give them work. And because, you know, for example, I went to Chicago a few months ago and we just had dinner for a couple of nights. I went to their studio, we shot some people, they brought in some models. They had some paid clients, and we were there and we learned from each other, and then we took pictures of each other as well. And we get to give each other work in that way. I would love to travel to different places. So I did go to Chicago for a job. I will be going to New York for a job, as well as, where else am I going? I forgot. Oh, Maine, I'm going to Maine as well. And so people are paying me to do that. It's just more cost effective if someone's already there. The bigger goal will be to create a nonprofit in the future. This is about 2025 and maybe 2026. So once all the automations and the systems and marketing and advertising and all that stuff goes into autopilot, and I'm hoping that can be done in autopilot by this time next year, where I don't have to think about it. It just goes. I'd like to create a school for high school students, and like kind of an after school program to teach them all the different parts of building a business and for branding, and then take those skills and bring them back into the community on Main Street, and then have them create content for their community. And they will still get paid and get paid what they should be getting paid, but the money is going to them as well as going to the nonprofit. And what they're doing is the community is benefiting from the youth who are there, and then the youth are benefiting from job skills, but also contributing to the local economy and creating and helping their local stores grow, like the local florist, the carpenter that's there, the plumber, the landscapers, people who own like bodegas, and have them create websites and create social content and create video content, and listening to them and learning that when they're marketing for them, they're building relationships, and they just keep on going in that way. That is something that I would love to go back into teaching, but still keep it within the community. And you know, I'm never afraid of competition. Competition just means more friends, if you think about it. And so if these kids, you know, they learn photography, but what they're really learning is how to manage business and how to talk to people, and then how to be independent, and then how to build each other up, whether they're staying in Boston area or they're going out to Oakland or they're going to Dallas or to Minneapolis, wherever they're going to in the future, they get to continue this. Like we work for others. We don't work for ourselves. The money that we make is a side effect of what we do for others. It's a reward. And the more that we do, the more value that we bring, the more money we make, right? And then we use that money to reinvest, and then we create even more value in other ways. Whether it's a vacation for ourselves because we need that so we can do more stuff, something for our family so that we feel good, that motivates us to work even harder, or just completely giving back, like what I'm doing with African BN, which is, I'm doing a dozen free headshots for them every month for their community, for the people that they're training to help them get jobs for. And now with LinkedIn, they absolutely need it. So it's kind of like, so the goal is I can take myself out of the business and just work on developing others. That would be super awesome in the next couple of years. So thank you for letting me talk about that, Joseph.
I think that's exciting, and yeah, it's great how you found a way to tie it back into into the teaching side, and bring everything, like the community impact and everything you're striving for long term there too. Yeah, no, I think that's great.
Kevin, it's been
Yeah.
it's been amazing having you stop by. Love seeing what's happening around the Oasis. And Jason, I believe we have a special announcement to make about what's coming up on Monday. Prepare for VC.
Sure. Yeah, on Monday, actually Joseph, who's on the call here, and 6 of our other startup founders are going to be presenting from our accelerator program on our Monday demo day at 12 o'clock on Monday. So yeah, really excited. They're halfway through our 16-week accelerator, and they're all going to be sharing their presentations, what their companies are doing, and yeah, showcasing it to the broader startup community. So we have a few investors on the panel, and an audience of investors, entrepreneurs, and just general supporters of all the startups that we work with. So yeah, really excited for that, and excited for more of these AMA sessions and other events we're hosting, and also to do some in-person ones sometime soon, get you there as a partner and photographer. And I think there'll be some great ways to work together as we start to open back up as well.
Yeah, Kevin, how can the community get in touch with you? Is there anything you want to leave us with in terms of like exciting news, projects, things people should be aware of?
I would love to just connect with people. I'm always open for that. So 3circlestudio.com/chat. Way to just find a time that's available to talk and brainstorm and kind of just like throw ideas against the wall, or just get to know each other and each other's families and dogs. Always bring the dogs onto the camera.
Nice.
And I would love to, once things really start to open up, is to go to these events. I used to go to, what's it called? Venture Cafe once a month and photograph for the community there. I haven't done that obviously in a really long time. But if there's any events that are coming up for any of your community members, I would love to kind of be there and contribute in that. And then, because for me, it's about meeting the people that's there, enjoying it. If there's alcohol, I probably won't do it because I'd rather just drink and not carry very expensive equipment with me. Just FYI. But yeah, and so these are always opportunities for me to demonstrate what a headshot experience is like, because most people don't. Usually it's conferences, and it's very quick and fast. It's snap. Okay, go next. Snap. Okay, and next person. And these are great ways for me to build referrals. And a lot of the foundations of the referrals that I have right now comes from, for me, from these free headshot events. And one person leads to another, and then I am where I am now. So anything like that would be amazing.
Sounds great. Yeah, we'll connect it out.
Jason, since we're over 5 o'clock, you didn't stop anything yet. I just have one more question for Kevin, if that's okay with you. Okay. Steve and Jason already knows this, but now I'm going to let you know and the rest of the world to know. I am horrible in fashion or, stuff like that. So have you ever came to a session and you took a look at the other individual and say, man, that is not you. I mean, for instance, like I think you need a different tie or different shirt, different jacket, different something. Do you actually speak out to that, or you say, this is how they are, that's what they want, I'm shooting? I mean, how's that go in your mind, or what would you do?
For full sessions, now what I do, or now recently in the last couple of years, actually, let me tell you the story. So I had a student come in, or a recent graduate from law school come in, and she's a young woman, very beautiful, brought her clubbing clothes to the headshot so she could have a new lawyer headshot. I turned her away. And this was before I used to talk to anybody. And then now, before every session, we get together and we talk, either on the phone or on Zoom. And sometimes they text me their clothes. Sometimes on the Zoom, we go through each of the outfits together. But I always say, bring as many outfits as you can. And I also talk about typically with older people or people who have gone through weight loss or weight gain. I would say it's okay to buy some outfits, bring them with you. And then if you want to keep it, you keep it. If you don't like it, return it. Shh. Okay. But sometimes you have to do that because I also have somebody who they gain a lot of weight and his shirt doesn't fit. And so we see the pulling of the buttons. So I'll say, just go, and I had to turn around and say, just go leave, go grab something, grab one t-shirt, come back in an hour and we'll do it again. Because I want to make sure that they're representing themselves really well.
Sounds good.
Industry hacks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like rent the
Very cool.
runway, but it's free.
Even better.
Sounds good. No, appreciate you chatting with us. Yeah, no, this is great. Yeah, we'll be sharing this in our YouTube and community page, and yeah, excited for everything else we talked about here. And yeah, great to spotlight you, and always great to have you as part of our community.
Prepare for weekends.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks, Steve. And thanks, Joe, for all the questions and the opportunity to speak to that.
Thank
you guys
you,
are
Kevin.
all
Thank you,
here.
Joe.
Community you guys have created. Thank you.
Appreciate it.